Ukraine's military says it hit 10 Russian temporary bases over past day. The Ukrainian Air Force, together with the country's rocket and artillery forces, conducted strikes against 10 Russian temporary bases over the past 24 hours, the General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces reported in its morning update on March 20. Ukraine's military repelled almost 70 Russian assaults in 5 areas during the same reporting period. Russian forces are concentrating their efforts on conducting offensives toward Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Mariinka, and Shakhtarsk in Donetsk Oblast. Bakhmut remains the epicenter of the fight, according to Ukraine's military. Russia launched 6 missiles, 13 airstrikes, and 56 MLRS attacks against Ukraine, targeting civilian infrastructure in Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia oblasts. Ukrainian troops also hit 3 Russian Buk-M1-2 anti-aircraft missile systems, an ammunition depot, and downed a Zala high-precision kamikaze drone. Russian Grad missiles killed 3 civilians and wounded 2 in the village of Kamyansk, Zaporizhzhia Oblast, on March 19, the Zaporizhzhia Regional Administration reported. Zaporizhzhia is among the 4 oblasts Russian dictator Vladimir Putin claimed to have annexed after sham referendums in September 2022. Roughly 60% of the territory of the oblast is occupied, and villages close to the front line have been constantly shelled since March 2022. On the same day, Russian troops shelled the village of Bielozerka in Kherson Oblast, wounding a local woman, the Kherson Oblast Regional Administration reported. Kherson Oblast has been continuously subjected to Russian shelling since the areas on the west bank of the Dnipro River were liberated by Ukrainian forces in November 2022. Russian forces were pushed to the river's east bank, from where they had been firing at the liberated territories. Geolocated footage published on March 19 indicates that Ukrainian forces conducted a successful counterattack southwest of Ivanovsk, located 6 kilometers west of Bakhmut, and pushed Russian forces further away from the key highway in the area, the Institute for the Study of War said in its latest update. Serhiy Cherevity, a spokesperson for the eastern grouping of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, said that Russian forces conducted 25 attacks in the Bakhmut area on March 19, but Russian forces likely only secured marginal gains. Russian sources amplified footage on March 18 alleging to show a column of Ukrainian armored vehicles along the highway southwest of Kostiantynivka, 22 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, and speculated that Ukrainian forces are preparing to launch counteroffensive operations southwest of Bakhmut. A prominent Russian military blogger claimed that Ukrainian forces are currently capable of intensifying counterattacks to stabilize the front line around Bakhmut. The growing Russian discussions about an imminent Ukrainian counteroffensive in the Bakhmut area suggest that Russian sources are increasingly uncertain about the Russian military's ability to maintain the initiative around Bakhmut, the ISW found. Meanwhile, using open sources, BBC Russia, together with Mediazona, a Russian independent media outlet, established the names of 17,375 Russian soldiers who had been killed in the war in Ukraine. The media carry out a name-by-name count of the dead. A third of all these losses included people not associated with the army before the invasion: volunteers, mobilized personnel, prisoners, and newly recruited members of private military companies. Since the beginning of 2023, at least 1,000 people who were supposed to serve their sentences in Russian prisons have been killed, according to the findings. BBC and Mediazona say that according to the most conservative estimates, Russia may have lost about 35,000 people in Ukraine. At the same time, Russia's total irretrievable losses, which include wounded, killed or missing, may amount to at least 157,500 people. 13 months into the war, the number of Russian military casualties verified through open sources has now surpassed the officially confirmed number of deaths of Soviet soldiers during the 9-year war in Afghanistan. According to American and other Western officials, the number of Russian troops killed and wounded in Ukraine may be approaching 200,000. The officials cautioned that casualties are extremely difficult to estimate, particularly because Russia is believed to undercount its war dead and injured routinely. In Europe, Czech President Petr Pavel told the Polish newspaper Rzeczpospolita on March 19 that Ukraine needs to launch a major counteroffensive within the next few months. The window of opportunity is open this year. After next winter, it will be extremely difficult to maintain the current level of assistance, Pavel was quoted. War fatigue is not only the exhaustion of human resources and equipment, the destruction of infrastructure in Ukraine, but also fatigue in the countries that provide aid. According to Pavel, many countries expect some progress this year. I think Ukraine will have only one attempt to carry out a major counteroffensive, he said. Therefore, if Ukraine decides to launch a counteroffensive and it fails, it will be extremely difficult to get funding for the next one.
Audio